Hello everyone, and this is my review for Impact Wrestling on January 26, 2017. And this show was aka the Genesis show. They called it the Genesis show, and they had a few, so basically using again old pay-per-view names to make a match, or not a match, but a particular Impact normal show seems special in some way, shape, or form. They did kind of do that tonight too, with the particular matches they put on. But they started off the show tonight with the Broken Hardys coming out, and Jeff Hardy, Brother Nero, basically cut a promo what his intentions for using the number one briefcase were, and what you would kind of expect it to be. It ended up being a world title match, and they did do a little segment backstage. I'll talk about that in just a few moments as well, indicating even more of that. But he indicated what he was going to do with his briefcase, and then he asked Matt if he had other premonitions, and Matt basically, though it seemed like he was losing his voice throughout the entire promo, but he battled through it, and kept his typical accent to go along with it. He basically had said that he had a premonition that they went to other organizations and they were winning their world tag team titles and everything in that sense. So they clinked the belts, revival style, and basically gave an indication that they were going to be trying to go after many other tag team titles to go along with it. But the DCC interrupt. They give an indication that they would probably use their number 2 briefcase for an attempt at the tag team titles next week during Open Fight Night, which they're bringing back Open Fight Night. I kind of liked that back then, but it's a little weird with how they're doing it here. But this does lead into Decay interrupting the DCC and Matt Hardy, and the Broken Hardys as well, and they. What was it? They give, not an indication, but they give a challenge of a triple threat match for the World Tag Team titles at that point in time. They eventually, it does get accepted. They brawl before the match, and the Hardys clear the ring. Now for the match itself, it wasn't a bad triple threat, but it wasn't anything overly special as well. It kind of ended the way that you thought it would, with the Hardys going over. I did like the aspect of Decay kind of semi-helping out with Crazy Steve blinding Eddie. What is it? Not Eddie. Is it Eddie Kingston? Yeah, Eddie Kingston with the mist, which led to Matt Hardy getting the pin. The match itself, again, was fine, but it wasn't anything special by any stretch of the imagination. Again, it was a decent match. Then for the backstage segment that you saw later, they were going through using Vanguard 1, doing potential opponents for Jeff Hardy's number 1 case, and the first one that they put up was DJZ for the X Division title. I like how the aspect of Jeff saying that no, facing him would only fuel his addiction, so delete. He deletes fighting him. Then it was Rosemary. They came up with another reason for him to delete that one, and then what was it? Did they go with Drew Galloway next? I forget who the next one was, but they gave it a little tease at the end with him being very interested in fighting Eddie Edwards for the World Heavyweight title, giving like an indication maybe Eddie defends the title tonight and doesn't lose the Ironman match or something in that sense. And I like this segment, and then they finish it off with Matt Hardy saying he had a premonition and he knows who you were going to challenge for the next week, not giving out a name so they don't spoil anything. So, or he doesn't give out a name so it doesn't like spoil anything for later on. But all in all, not a bad set of segments. I didn't really like the match; wasn't anything special, but I did kind of like the segments that they went along with it. You also had a few segments at a restaurant with Laurel Van Ness and Braxton Sutter. And it was one of those moments of like two polar opposite type of people having a date. Like Laurel Van Ness, like they're at a more fancy style restaurant, really enjoying everything about it, doing that aspect of always talking about herself or something in that. And Braxton Sutter just not being interested in being there at all in any way, shape, or form. Even going to a point is like taking, instead of having a glass of wine, he just takes the bottle and starts drinking it. It was kind of hilarious. I did kind of like those set of segments because it does further along, and like I said, we're seeing the ending, I'm thinking, of this whole Ali, Maria, Laurel Van Ness storyline coming up. So it's furthering that along, and I think the segments came off really well, and it does play off of an aspect that, oh, if Braxton doesn't do what Maria says, she's gonna fire Ali or something in that sense. So he's kind of in this against his own will at that point, and kind of trying to do what he feels to be the right thing as well. So I think it's coming along well, and like I said, I felt like this particular set of storyline should have probably ended with the whole Ali Maria thing a long time ago. So I'm kind of glad to see it coming to that end. I felt like they could have gotten there sooner, but they did string it out for a little bit longer, and we'll see how it ends out finishing off. Drew Galloway comes out, and he challenges anybody. He basically cuts what he how he feels about the whole grand championship and everything in that sense, and what he wants it to become. And he calls out anybody, and then it was Moose who answers that challenge, and basically, again, getting his rematch for the title. The match itself was it's a pretty good way of seeing where they were going with things. It seems like Drew Galloway has this like low blow bit that he wants to continually do throughout the entire match. In some way, this week, the one that was seen by the referee was less intentional. Like when Moose hit the game changer, it's like Drew Galloway's foot was just in a position that it would land to give a low blow or something in that sense. And then the ending of the match saw where a more intentional one, where Moose pushes Drew Galloway away from him and knocks Drew into the referee, causing him to not be able to see anything. Low blow, future shock DDT in for the win. Afterwards, I'm kind of liking where they're going with Drew Galloway. They're making him a heel with this, but he's still just he's doing the whole aspect of cheating, but it's not like he's using other facets or other areas. Like it's almost what they were doing with Aaron Rex, exception that he's just kind of low blowing people. That's basically all it is. I'm not minding it at this point. Again, I still have an issue with the Grand Championship that the only time that we see this style match is when they have a championship match. Like, why don't we have a full division around this in some way, shape, or form? But no, you just have the champion, and then he defends the title against somebody. Again, it falls under the aspect that I would like to see them make more of a division out of this versus, you have this championship, you have this different rule set for matches, and you just have a championship match. I don't know where else to go with it, other than they should probably try to make a division out of it where you have number one contender matches and this and this and this, and make it a full-on competition with everything. But we'll see where they go with everything on that aspect. And like I said, I don't mind the matches, but like I said, it's just it gets kind of daunting on the aspect that it's just you only have the championship matches. That's the only thing that is a part of that style match. And again, you would like to see them do more with it, but they really don't in any way. Up next was Jade and Rosemary. This was a good Monsters Ball match. I actually enjoyed this one. I'm not always a big fan of the aspect of having gimmick matches all the time, which you had two of them in there, but it's a different change of pace and different type of people inside of the match to go along with it. I thought this one came off rather well. I like the aspect of Jade using the trash can lid to block the missed shot in there. And they did decent usage of the weapons as well throughout the entire match. Rosemary goes over with a superplex outside of the ring, not outside of the ring, but through the table inside the ring. And you had a couple other like crazy spots where Rosemary takes a German suplex into the thumbtacks, where pretty much, honestly, it was pretty much her shoulders and her head basically landed on the thumbtacks. Nothing else really did. Maybe a portion of her back to go along with it. And then Jade also did like a springboard moonsault into the barbed wire bed as well. And you had a couple pretty good spots in there, and I did enjoy this Monsters Ball match. It's been a while since we've seen one, so it came off rather well. I thought it did, at least, in that sense. Up next was a 5-way X Division title match. You had Marche Rocket, Trevor Lee, what's the other name? It's not Managers, because he's part of the WWE UK thing now. Andrew Everett, and the other guy's name, I forget his last name at this point, but it was Kobe, and DJZ in there. DJZ goes over, pretty decent match, not much of a story building throughout the entire match. Everything kind of took place afterwards, and you also have this aspect of open fight night. Trevor Lee has the number 3 briefcase, and guess what? He can probably challenge DJZ for the X Division title. So after the match, they take out DJZ's ankle, and probably leading into a story that, yes, he is going to challenge DJZ for the X Division title next week on Open Fight Night to go along with it. So overall, like, the match itself, I thought was decent. It was, good spots here and there, and nothing crazily fantastic. But and DJZ going over in this case, but yeah, the story was more after the match with Trevor Lee attacking DJZ and Helms and Everett taking out the ankle of DJZ, probably leading into the Open Fight Night. So they at least build story after the match. And I thought that came off rather well in the end. And this leads into the main event of the night: Bobby Lashley versus Eddie Edwards for the not TNA, but the Impact Wrestling World Championship. I thought this was a good Ironman match. I did. There's little snippets of bad things that was more production side than it was through Eddie Edwards or Bobby Lashley in any way, shape, or form. I thought these two did really good in the ring. My only gripe was that, with Ironman matches, you need to be constantly kind of be reminded in some way, shape, or form of how much time's left and what the score is at that point. Now, they would flash a scoreboard after a fall, and they would also flash the timer after like 10-minute, 15-minute, and 20-minute mark and everything in that sense. But they didn't keep it up for the entire match. And with all the time that they had to edit everything, honestly, they could have easily added all of that stuff in there, so you didn't have to just pop it up whenever it happened. It's like, oh, it's there, change the number, boom, done, or something in that sense. And it was just one of those little nitpicks of it was just one of those little nitpicks that's like, you couldn't edit that in there or something like that to go along with it. Like I said, this is a nitpicking aspect of it, where you typically always see the scoreboard, you always see the timer, you always see this, and like there's very few times that you ever see that in other Iron Man matches. And I'm not just saying on WWE side, but I'm even saying in other TNA ones as well to go along with it. And that's just a little nitpick of it. Otherwise, I thought the action inside the ring was really good, and I'm not going to take away from any of that. I thought they did a really good job in this Iron Man match. I love the ending spot with Bobby Lashley being stuck in a guillotine, but doesn't pass out, doesn't tap out, holds out for the last 40 seconds to get the win in every sense of it. I also like the aspect of when Bobby Lashley was in the lead, he took his time. He kind of strolled around the ring and tried to waste as much time as possible to go along with it. Truly good, good heelish tactics inside of an Iron Man match. And I thought that everything kind of came off really well to go along with it. I actually did thoroughly enjoy this Iron Man match. I thought they did a really good job with it. And yeah, overall this week's Impact was actually a pretty good one. I'm gonna say storylines furthered along, and I mean that in a good way as well. It's not like this storyline was kind of blah or this or that. And you kind of had matches that were they were fine. They weren't anything great or anything, but you didn't have anything. You didn't have anything bad on this show, but you didn't in certain cases you even had some really good stuff, but you didn't really have anything that came off bad in any way, shape, or form. So, with that being said, that is my review for Impact Wrestling this week. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.